Congratulations on hitting the end of this chapter where we were learning about namespaces. We have seen that it is a facility we have to avoid name conflicts in our program, and this gave us the ability to be able to set up the same function across multiple namespaces. We started out by looking at the syntax you use to set up your own namespaces. And you just say namespace, you say the name of the namespace, you put a pair of curly braces, and you put things inside your namespaces. We have seen that it is possible to split your namespace across different locations in your code. For example, the no-wait namespace is living on top here. We also have another section for that. And C++ is smart enough to know that all these things here are a part of the same namespace. We have seen that it is possible to set up the same namespace across multiple files. We were able to set up the geom namespace for the point, line, and a cylinder class. And these classes happen to be split across multiple files, and we saw that this is really possible. Next, we learned about the global namespace. We saw that the syntax you use to access things inside the global namespace is : as you see here, and this would work pretty well. Next, we had a chance to see that the C++ standard library is using namespaces to organize the code. We saw that many of the things we have learned about from the C++ standard library so far live in the std namespace. We moved on and learned about the using declarations. We saw that we have two syntaxes we could use. We could use the syntax you see here to bring up a particular name from the namespace and use that without specifying the namespace name, or we could even bring in the entire namespace using the syntax you see here, and this was pretty cool. We had a chance to learn about anonymous namespaces. We saw the syntax you could use to set them up. You say namespace, you don't specify a name, and you put a pair of curly braces. We saw that the compiler is going to generate a name for that namespace, but the name is not going to be accessible to you. A direct consequence of this is that things you declare inside an anonymous namespace are only going to be usable and reachable from the translation unit where you have declared those things. And that's really cool, and you have to remember that. We moved on and learned about namespaces, and we saw that it is possible to nest your namespaces. For example, you can nest them at 10 levels, 20 levels, use whatever makes sense for your project. And one thing you should know is that inner namespaces have access to things from the outside. For example, we can use the age variable here from the inner namespace, which is world. But the reverse is not true. Outer namespaces, we have to go through namespace names to have access to things we declared in inner namespaces. For example, to access the local var here, we have to go through the world namespace, and you have to remember this. After that, we had a chance to learn about namespace aliases, and this is a facility that is going to help you avoid typing lengthy namespace names and use this if it makes sense for your C++ project. This is really all I had to share in this chapter. I hope you found it interesting. Namespaces are really cool. You're going to see them a lot in your C++ programs. So this was a chance for me to really give you as much information as I could about the topic. We are going to stop here in this chapter. In the next one, we're going to zoom in on program with multiple files, and we're going to learn a little more information about how you set up your project and things you really need to be careful about. So go ahead and finish up here and meet me there.